Alright, what it is, guys? We're back at it again with another video. I tried to record this a few times. I'll just hope it works this time. But basically, this is gonna be a different type of video from what I normally do. This one's just gonna be me talking about subjects, about videos I'm going to do, but I just haven't released just yet because I, for one reason or another, haven't finished editing them. Basically, so it's just gonna be me rambling about videos. So I guess I'll just start from a video I have planned being called The Best Classics. And a prerequisite is that it's not that well known, because I don't want to be just showing y'all mainstream stuff and like what you already seen. So I want to obviously show you new things, which is like the entire point of the video. They're underrated, and I would say they're very good in their class. Not necessarily better than something else, but it is in like that insanely good tier. So that's why I have it in the video. Are you serious, bro? He just doesn't let me like get a weapon and live. Boop. Alright, now I got my flow back. But a few on the video is going to be, one's going to be Gantz, another is going to be Sunken Rock, another Beelzebub, one being The World God Only Knows. So it's not like it's just one genre as well. I'm drawing from multiple genres for this video, but I'm not going to go into why I think, like, elaborate why like a lot of the scenes in it are God tier. I'm going to mention it and basically just give a synopsis on it and say it is. I would hope if you've seen a couple of my videos, you can understand my taste. And if you don't know what I consider to be good, wow, bro. Dang. Bro. Truly annoying. But this is alright, took a stock, okay. But whatever. But if you want to know what I consider to be good, I do have a video that will be coming on being on Fairy Tail and how it's an underrated classic. It's overhated. Going by the first few arcs, it's actually very god tier. If you like things such as One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, I can't see a valid reason for you not to like One Piece. Let me just draw from an example from one of the better arcs from the start, and that would be what I would describe the Gray arc. I'm not going to use its actual name because I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I'll call it the Gray arc because at the start of the series, basically everybody has an arc dedicated to them. One being for Urza, one being for Gray, Lucy, etc. So, with that being said, what I would say the Gray arc is, what's good about it is, it champions this message of looking towards the future and not towards the past, with what goes with Gray and his fellow disciple of his master. Obviously, Leon is like, yes, I shall surpass her. I shall surpass my master. And Gray's like, well, she told me there are stronger people, so I'm going to go out and look for stronger people. One of them cannot move forward, while the other one is moving forward. And that's seen in their fighting styles as well. Leon goes against their teaching, and he's like, I've already surpassed her. I'm going to use one hand. And Gray's like, no, we learn to use two hands because it makes your magic more stable. So that's how he beats him, by showing him the difference in it being stable and it not being stable. Hell yeah. As you can see, it's not very well structured, but you can get the gist of what I'm saying. Which is why I'm just having this video just to give myself more time in general. Just so like you can know what is going to come up and the subjects. So I just want this to just be relaxing since obviously I don't know how I'm going to be doing my editing schedule with me being in school currently. Before I just did it whenever I had some time. Just did it for fun. So. But moving on, right? We have Natsu being like, I want to get stronger so I can protect my friends, which is also similar to Ichigo's goal. Him wanting to protect his friends, which is why like he moves and goes through these arcs. Why he does have his character development. And a lot of people do champion Ichigo. Like, if you're actually like somebody that's read Bleach and like understands its plot, like, yeah, right, I can champion Ichigo and his ideals. Yeah, I can do that. And like a lot of people do because of the stained reputation that Bleach does have because of Super Eye Patch Wolf. A lot of people do actually champion. Well, it might be a niche minority, I would say, that do champion it, so. But if you do so in the first place, and you can't say, well, Natsu's bad. A lot of people go against it being like, well, it's too friendship is magic, you know? Friendship, because I have friendship, I will like win. And I'm like, well, that's not in the first place a bad message to have. You can get farther by having multiple people instead of just yourself. No matter how good you are, you can always get farther with another person. So I would say that that's actually a very good message to have and to champion. It's something that will always stand the test of time, because that's something, it's a concept that will never get old. So in general, I'm going to leave out a lot of the stuff I would want to talk about. I'm going to mention something else being no, I'll keep that for the video. I don't want to expose too many of my cards, alright? I don't want to expose too, but this is just me rambling about the videos anyway. So I'll talk about another one being Unordinary. A lot of y'all do like Unordinary. So I'll talk a little bit about John's philosophy. John's philosophy being that I personally call it a pseudo pain. Being like, if everybody understands what it's like to be bullied and to be oppressed, then they're less likely to do it. Which I'm like, I can understand, right? Which is why a lot of people do like Pain. They can understand his motivations. Everybody knowing Pain, so they're going to not want to continue to inflict pain. So like, it is something that you can understand, right? It's not like an outlandish goal, which like John is doing. It's not like he's being a hypocrite like a lot of people in the hierarchy. He's actually going through it. And he's actively destroying people and like things such as the safe house that go against what he wants. So that does go towards his characterization being like, well, no matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your intentions are, you're not doing what my hierarchy is right now. I'm currently king. This is your principle. This is what y'all do obey. So y'all better obey. Wow. Okay. That would have been sick if I actually hit that. Y'all would have been like, yeah, Noonsford out here balling on us, but I didn't do it. No. Oh, well. I didn't have the skills to do it. But that's a little bit about John's philosophy. I did kind of say that in the comments against somebody that honestly didn't truly understand properly Unordinary, if I'm just being honest. But you know, everybody can view it as their own, but in the face of actual evidence, it's pretty odd that you just hold on to your prior notions instead of understanding what does happen in the narrative. But speaking of narrative, I do also have another video called A Tumbling Narrative for Unordinary. And what I specifically mean is that a lot of people are getting uninterested in Unordinary because of the direction that the story has been going in. like trying to villainize John, that's something people don't like, because they started reading the story for John. It's obviously John's story. They started reading it for John and John's struggle, John's story, and now you're trying to set us up against our own character that we have been reading for. So it is counterintuitive in the first place, I would say, to set it up as such, which is why I can't understand why people are dropping it. But would I say it's bad per se? I wouldn't say it's bad, as in the actual characterization and what it does for the character. We can understand this, right? This does line up. However, it's the execution and how it's portrayed which is the problem. You're putting it so that we see John and we're like, alright, we've been with you since the start of the story. We've grown to understand you. Well, some of us understand him. Some of us do misinterpret his character. I'll say that, let me be fair. But for those that do understand his character, we're like, alright, we can't understand this. However, the author continuously tries to villainize him, which, if you actually look at the narrative, doesn't co-align with what's being written, which is what has a lot of people very annoyed about, because it's not consistent. The people she tries to champion, the author that is, tries to champion and tries to now make into the people that we should be rooting for, they're not absolved from all that what they have done. It's not like they've changed. They haven't grown at all. Because people would try to point at Remy and be like, well, Remy's joined, she's trying to do a safe house. But I'm like, that in and of itself shows a problem within the narrative. The author tries to portray this was Remy all along, but it doesn't make sense if that was the case. It actually causes a pretty on contradiction, because Remy did understand about what was going on. She in her argument with John does say, I did stop the scuffles that I did see. However, right, the hierarchy as it was before was everybody being equal. That's what her brother wanted, and if that's what she supposedly wanted, she would have looked into it to some extent, at least. To any extent, she would have looked into it, and if she did, she would learn that it's much worse than it is. Such a thing as just saying negligence doesn't really absolve her, because if you have a moral obligation, right, if you think you're morally obliged to do something, you're going to do it without being nah, it could be fine, you know. You would be more so let me make sure things are fine. Because if you think about it, let's just say I'm taking care of a pet, alright? If I see my pet going out and fighting people, I would look into that. If I see this fighting, I would look into it. It's not something that I would just ignore and be like, it's fine. I stopped it, so now it's fine. Because it's not like it's stopping. There's obvious a hierarchy problem. And if she's not looking into it, well, that's a fault on her. She doesn't truly care enough. Which is why John's like, well, I'm going by my own approach now. I'm now going to approach this how I'm going to do this. So, that is something to think about for Unordinary as a tumbling narrative. That is it good to sacrifice the goodwill of the people reading just to portray characters that aren't truly what you proclaim them to be as the heroes? I personally don't think so, which is why I'm very heavily contemplating dropping Unordinary, just because I don't like the direction that it's currently for lack of a better word, in general. So, with that being said, right?